The Wyoming sun was dying
We need
behind
to
the
move quickly.
distant ridges when Lone
The
Rancher
storm's
Colt
coming,
Maddox
and we don't have much
finished
time.
branding, the last steer of the evening, sweat and dust clinging to him like a second skin. His life as silent and hollow as the empty bunkhouse behind him, a man carved out of storms. Loneliness stitched into his bones after years of burying people he loved, until the world whispered he was meant to live alone, meant to carry the weight of the Maddox ranch without laughter or companionship, meant to drift like a ghost from sunrise to sunset. But everything changed when he heard the wheels of a wagon crunching toward his gate, and two figures stepped down, a pair of identical Chinese twins, Mei-Lin and Hua-Lin, women whose faces mirrored each other perfectly, long raven-black hair braided over their shoulders, eyes carrying both softness and fierce determination, their presence like silk cutting through leather. And when Colt demanded to know who they were and why, they'd come to the most isolated ranch in 3 counties. Mei-Lin stepped forward, steady as a mountain breeze, and said the words that would rewrite everything he thought he knew about destiny. "We heard you want a wife, and we are perfect for you." Colt almost dropped the reins in his hands. He had never wanted a wife, not after losing his fiancée to the winter fever, not after learning that anyone he loved was destined to be taken away. But the twins stood before him unafraid, saying they traveled 3 states, guided by a letter they found in their guardian's belongings. A letter written years ago by Colt's mother begging anyone to look after her son when she was gone, describing him as a loyal, hard-working man with a heart too big for his own good. And though Colt tried to push them away, telling them the ranch was no place for delicate women, Hua-Lin stepped forward and showed him the calluses on her palms, proof of years of labor on silk farms and rice fields. And Mei-Lin explained that they had no family left, no home except the one fate led them to, that his mother's letter had been their only compass. And they believed, truly believed, that destiny had chosen them for him. Colt tried to resist, but the storm inside him cracked when he saw the way they prepared dinner in his kitchen without asking, the way they filled the empty house with gentle laughter and soft conversation in their native tongue, the way Hua-Lin fearlessly confronted the wild stallion he couldn't break, whispering calming words that tamed the beast within minutes. Something old and aching inside Colt stirred back to life, something he thought had died with the woman he once loved. But the night grew darker, and danger rolled over the ranch like thunder. When a group of men from town arrived, gunmen who had been pursuing the twins across states, believing they carried a priceless inheritance. Colt stood in the doorway, rifle in hand, and for the first time in years he felt a reason worth fighting for. Not land, not cattle, but 2 women who stepped into his life, claiming they were meant for him. 2 women who looked at him not with fear but with trust. 2 women who believed they belonged at his side. And as the first outlaw reached for his gun, Colt Maddox understood one truth that burned hotter than wildfire. Fate didn't ask for permission, it simply delivered. And sometimes it delivered twice. The dawn came bruised and smoky after the gunfight, the bodies of the outlaws dragged away by the sheriff's men, and Colt Maddox stood in the yard staring at the blood-stained dirt where he had fought like a man defending his entire world, realizing he had indeed been defending it, because somewhere between the moment the twins fed his horses and the moment, Mei-Lin knelt beside him, during the shootout pressing her trembling hands to his wounded shoulder to stop the bleeding. They had become more than strangers, more than destiny. They had become the first warmth he'd felt in years. But the world was not kind to a rancher living alone, with 2 beautiful identical women, and rumors spread through town faster than wildfire, stories twisting into poison, until the sheriff warned Colt that the twins were in danger of being taken or mistreated by lawless men who thought the rancher was hiding treasure or trafficking women. And Colt realized that if he didn't stand with the twins publicly, the world would crush them. Meanwhile, Mei-Lin and Hua-Lin confessed the truth about their inheritance, a family heirloom, worth a fortune that outlaws hunted ruthlessly, but instead of keeping it for themselves, The twins offered it to Colt, not as payment, not as a burden but as trust, saying they would rather live poor on his ranch than rich anywhere else, saying he had given them something more valuable than gold, safety, belonging, and a chance at a life where they didn't have to run. Colt, torn between love, guilt, and a sense of responsibility he didn't know how to carry, told them he wasn't the kind of man who deserved two women's loyalty. But Hua-Lin cupped his face and said softly, "We choose you, not because you are perfect, but because you are good." And Mei-Lin added, "In our culture, love is not measured by numbers but by devotion." Their words melted the last walls around his heart. But the world outside did not stop pressing in. And when a second outlaw gang rode toward the ranch, this time determined to burn everything until the twins surrendered, Colt understood that a choice had to be made: protect them as a rancher or claim them as his family. He chose the latter, stepping onto the porch as the gang approached, shouting to the entire valley that the twins were under his protection, that they were his wives by bond of choice and heart, that any man who tried to take them would cross not only him, but the entire Maddox legacy. The shootout that followed was brutal, but Colt fought with the strength of a man who had finally found something worth living and dying for. And when the dust cleared and the outlaws fled, the sheriff witnessed enough to declare publicly that the twins were safe, protected, and legally placed under Colt's guardianship and partnership. That evening, as the three of them stood in the pasture under a sky streaked with gold and fire, Hua-Lin slipped her hand into his left palm and Mei-Lin into his right, and they told Colt that they were no longer running, no longer searching, that their journey had ended exactly where destiny intended. Colt, a man who once believed he was destined to live alone, now found himself surrounded by laughter, warmth, and two loving souls who completed the home his heart never admitted it needed. And as the lanterns glowed in the windows of the ranch house, as the horses settled and the wind whispered through the grass, Colt Maddox finally spoke the words that sealed the future. "If fate brought you here, then fate can stay." And they did, turning a lonely ranch into a legend whispered across the West. If you love powerful Western love stories full of destiny, danger, and unforgettable emotion, then hit that subscribe button right now. Your support helps us bring more heart-pounding cowboy tales, more legendary romances, and more stories that light up your imagination. Subscribe and join the family of storytellers.